Right, I didn't think I was going to get any footage for a Corona diary on this little trip. Was going to do 24 hours, now going to do till this afternoon, so 30 hours or something. I've started off in Wallace's, struggled, lost a really powerful fish last night after a lot of work, and I was pretty devoed, if I'm honest. So this morning I bit the bullet, got up after realising I'd been absolutely cleaned out, so much so that my marker pole had been dug up in the night, and there was bubbles everywhere, and apart from a mid-20, I hadn't had anything, and I knew I should have. So I've stuck everything in the van, scooted round to the double, which I'm in now, and as you can see, it has kicked off within 20 minutes, half hour, so there's no rods. In the net, there's a proper lovely mirror. In the retainer, there's a really nice common. Off the back of the boat, which you can't see, there's another mirror, a smaller one. So yeah, let's get them out and I'll talk through what happened. I don't get retainers, but it's just getting dealt with because of the mayhem. Really pretty fish with the scales and stuff, but the gut is enormous. Snails, absolutely crapping out snails. That explains a bit. I really don't care about the size, it's just nice to get them on the bank. It's a shitty time for us all, isn't it? So I'm very lucky to be able to get out on the bank like I can, and I'm aware of that. This is my first proper Lac Solace commmon. Really pleased with it. It's getting back and try and sort the carnage out that is my rods. So Steri 7 first, or adhesive, which I think is much better than propolis for sealing off a wound, and then just same as propolis, don't pour it on like washing it off, but if you dampen it, it proper turns to putty and it will last ages and ages. Right then, that's that carnage over. Got to say, that's probably the best morning's fishing I've possibly ever had, to be honest. 3 totally different carp, which is what I'm all about with regard to what I pick. Different shapes, different scale patterns, from different fish farmers and different strains of carp. So just really quickly wanted to tell you what I did that was different, because maybe when we're all able to get back out and do this hobby, we'll be able to put it in place. In reality, I was probably lazy. I'd had a marker pole out for a couple of days, sort of in between the inflow and Wallace's, so sort of 70 yards between each, and I saw a fish roll to the right hand margin of Wallace's, so I went in there, tried sort of my go-to tactics and baits and rigs, etc., and didn't work. Was seeing quite a few fish over here, actually out there. Kept walking round, couldn't see why they were there, so bit the bullet, put a long range rod over there. It's about 120 yards, and they just stopped. Obviously I spoke to them, and then I actually thought, well, let's try spodding, let's try and get some attraction out there. So put some attraction on the spot that I'd been fishing, and got a take about 10 minutes later, which I was really surprised about because I've never seen spodding before. I did put a lot of bait out, but the rod just off the bait went, and to be honest with you, I've never felt power like it from a fish. It flat rodded me, it went down the margin, heading from one corner of the lake to the jetty, which is as far away as it could possibly be. Went through every sort of little strand of weed, I could feel it cutting, the braid cutting it, and then the hook just pulled. And I've got to be honest, I was proper devastated. In the grand scheme of things, it's only carp fishing, but you know, in context, I was gutted. All that work and it hadn't paid off. Put a bit bottom bait in, refreshed all the rods, put them out, sat up till about 2-3 this morning, mainly because dogs wouldn't let me go to bed, and got some liners, had a mid-20 which I didn't photograph, and got a few more liners and got some really savage liners. Couldn't see, it was so dark, and just had a feeling something wasn't right. Got up at 5 this morning, so I literally only had a couple of hours sleep, if that. And as the light came up, I could see the bubbles. They weren't live fizz, they'd blown from somewhere. And then as I kept looking to where the marker was and the light got better and better, I realised that the marker pole had actually been dug up, and they'd fed so hard on it that they dug the pole up. How I hadn't got a run, I don't know. Brought all the rods in, and funnily enough, 2 of the 3 were tangled. Not totally tangled, but they were crinkled up. It wasn't right. I can't actually tell you why, because that's never ever happened to me with a fluoro rig like that. It was almost like it had been crayfished or something, but obviously it hadn't. There's no crays in here. The baits were fine. Something, I don't know what had happened, whether swan mussel had got hold of it, I'm not sure. Anyway, so I sat there, all 3 rods in, thinking what am I going to do. Went for a walk up to the jetty and saw some like rocking. It wasn't fizzing, they weren't on the surface, but there was some real like vortexes and rocking under the surface. I thought, that's a bit odd, but let's have a look, maybe they're taking fry or something. So I put a single rod just in front of the jetty, and left it at that. Gave it another half hour, thought, nah, this is not right, it's not, I'm gonna move. So I threw everything in the van, shot round to the double, and stood there for 10 minutes having a fag and saw fizzing. And then as the sun's come up, I've actually seen there's quite a lot of weed there, which I hadn't noticed. Now I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure that one of the weed beds is exactly where I had a rig yesterday, but maybe because it was a 4-ounce lead and it's a big chuck, it spooked them and they've moved to another weed bed or whatever, or I didn't have any bait directly on top of it. Maybe I wasn't accurate enough. Either way, it didn't work. So I've got down here, brought the rod in from the jetty, put it back out from this swim, because the jetty's only down to my left. Put 2 rods out in the weed. No, put 1 rod out in the weed. Was just about to put the 3rd out in the weed. What I've done is I've changed the lead. That's the only thing I changed. They were the same hook baits I reeled in. I'd straightened the rigs out, same hook baits. Thought maybe if they're washed out, they'll be a little less, you know, conspicuous. So all I've done is take 3.5 ounce, 4-ounce leads off and put 1.5 ounce flat pairs on. And I've flicked them really quietly into over the back of the fizz, and then quickly skipped it back and lowered it in. Put 30 baits over the top of each one with a bit of pellet and a little bit of maize. And as you've just seen, that was the result. All 3 have gone. I've actually ended up netting one without a handle, which was a first, because I had that fish, the fat mirror out in the with the handle on. And the other handle was down the bank, and I just wasn't expecting 3 takes, but that would teach me. So yeah, absolutely over the moon with that. So yeah, maybe if you can get closer to them and fish more accurately. I mean, it sounds daft to say it, doesn't it? But I guess a lot of us have done it in the past, tried to reach them from when we are, when in reality going round and fishing more accurately lighter, more delicately, more precisely is the way to go. So I hope you enjoyed those. I've certainly enjoyed catching them this morning. Cheers.